Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In worlds saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission here is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. I am Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach and motivational speaker. I take clients that I work with one-on-one from survival mode to thrival mode, and I am one of your co-hosts here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. I am joined here with my co-host today.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I am an aerialist. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it as well. Being an aerialist is a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. And I am here with my co-host.
Hey, what is up, everybody? My name is Graham Duval. I'm the owner of Valüd Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies proven to make you more successful with your business. And I am super excited today to have our guest on the Unfiltered Path podcast. And I would like to introduce...
Hello, I'm Brandon McLean. I'm sitting here outside Raleigh, North Carolina, in my band jam room, which is also my office for my real estate business. And I kind of do everything I can in life to try to make a living so that I can play music. Because I learned a long time ago that it's really hard to make money in music. So I had to figure out some other stuff. And here we are, my blended life.
Love that. True entrepreneur. Like,
Yes.
stemming from the creativity, here is what I want to do. Here's my passion. How else can I serve in order to then go back and serve my passion, right?
Heck yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I agree. It's like you have the thing that is like the main thing that you want to do, but you got to figure out a way to get there. And I mean, everybody's got to live. So how am I going to...
I blame you a little bit. I blame Graham a little bit because when I met Graham in 2014, I was kind of had gotten out of the idea of being a professional musician and kind of was slapped with reality of my then girlfriend, now wife, was pregnant and I needed to go out and make money, and I was just trying to do that. And then I met Graham, and after like 5 minutes, we had a band. And he's a founding member of the band that I'm still in. So 10 years later, still plugging away with Cosmic Superheroes.
Yes.
Sometimes I think if I wouldn't have met you, I would be way more ahead in my real estate business. But also would have way less cool music in my life.
Most definitely. Well, I'm so glad. Like, Brandon and I used to play a lot, and like life has some crazy things, and like it is so nice, like twists and turns, and like we've talked about on this podcast before, like my life and where it was and how I've come into sobriety and everything like that, and like that was back then, and since then we have connected much more now, and like it's super exciting to still see that. And like our listeners should definitely check out Cosmic Superheroes on Apple Music and Spotify and all the places where music is. But yeah, that's so cool, man.
Reminds me of, there's like a meme floating around that's like what people think success looks like.
Yeah.
It's got a graph that goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what success really looks like is like this graph that is like all this squirrely, like a cliff.
Yeah.
Like slowly goes up, you know?
I feel like artists are attracted to being an entrepreneur, or even if they don't want to be, they're kind of naturally good at it, is because that's kind of what our mind looks like inside, right? And then we have this respect for freedom to create for that spare time. Some people don't want spare time. They like to work. I know people that are addicted to just working, and there's people that like me that will be very creative with my spare time. So I actually quite value it, and I can delegate it in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you're an artist, and so you sell real estate because that makes sense.
Hey, I don't sound of selling the real estate anymore. My goal from the beginning was to be an investor, and 10 years in, we've got a nice little portfolio of rentals, short term and long term. Some like Airbnb style stuff, like beach houses and stuff, and some just normal single family rentals. And most of that, basically mostly it pays my bills now. And a couple of years ago, I had to stop saying it because I think it pisses people off. But when people, like, hey, so what do you do? Everyone's like, oh, I'm a plumber or whatever. Like, oh, what do you do? I'm always like, as little as possible.
Like, you know what, though? Let's talk about this subject for a second, because I took a course by Gabby Bernstein, and she is a spiritual leader, and she is like firm in her thinking and her beliefs that the less we do, the more we get, the bigger ripple and bigger effect that we do. And so, like, Brandon, if you think about your journey, right? And look at the ripple that you have in people's lives. Because I was just talking to one of my clients the other day who has employees, and she's like, I'm always in this thinking where, like, I'm doing harm by them. And I'm like, but look at the opportunities that you're giving them, right? And so you're, Brandon, giving all of these families opportunities to either travel, right? Which is really one of the best things to do in life. Or you're giving them an opportunity to have a roof over their head. And you're doing that, you're making that impact, and you're providing for your family while you're doing it. And then you also have this other creative thing that you love to do. That's amazing. We're always making this ripple, this impact. And I love the idea of working less, because I think that's what we all need to do. We live in a society that honors and values those workaholics. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's who you are. But I think studies and research shows that there's always some trauma and some healing that need to be done when you're a workaholic, because unless you truly are like, you're in it because you love it and it's making an impact. A lot of people use it as a numbing agent, right? Like no different alcohol or drugs or whatever it might be. And so I think you really have to ask yourself, if you're listening, you're like, I'm a workaholic because I love my work. That's wonderful, but still make sure you're creating a balance. But I think that we should normalize working less, like hashtag work less.
Yeah. You talk about the ripple effect, not just the customers, but like all like the service providers, like the plumbers that have like ongoing maintenance now. We have relationships with companies for, HVAC and electrical and landscaping, right? So like our ripple is getting bigger over time just by,
awesome.
As we make money, they make money too. So
I love
that's super cool. That is super cool. And like
things to recognize.
Most definitely. And I will say, like, if you're looking to go to like an awesome beach, they have the Dolphin House in, I can't remember what city it's in.
Ocean Isle Beach.
Ocean Isle Beach down in North Carolina. Woo! That's actually where I got this shirt.
In North Carolina. Now it's on the bucket list. So thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I've been down there. I need a vacation. Any talk about and connection to a vacation is on my mind.
I actually got this little background here that I use sometimes.
Oh, nice.
Aww.
And
That's looking out the back window of the Dolphin House.
Dolphin Cove.
Dolphin Cove.
Love that. That's epic. I mean, let's normalize creating a life that we don't need a vacation from.
Right.
I don't know. I'm an athlete and a mom, so my needs for vacation are just in those two things. I'm like squirming right now because I'm so sore. I have no words.
Danielle had a really amazing event that she attended this past weekend about recovery. And I'm like, I have so much FOMO right now.
I know.
But I'm going to let you talk about it, even though my FOMO is real. Yeah, Danielle.
Yeah, so I like to donate my time a little bit. And this year, because I got so many wonderful gigs, I really have an opportunity to be fruitful of giving back. And that was one of the events I chose. And it was a fundraiser for a rehabilitation like space because they don't even have room for a weekly meeting in this town. And so essentially it's building like a barn, and it's also supporting the arts. So I was so all aboard. There was like 12 musicians, and I got to perform and bring my assistant aerialist and have a good time. And then last night I performed at movie night. So they have a giant movie, and kids come, and there's popcorn and balloons and a jumpy house and a hot air balloon and me. And so I've worked it for years. So to go back to the event as an aerialist was really rewarding. So I worked the crowd for like an hour and a half in heat and then performed a 3-minute routine. So I'm feeling that. And tomorrow's my 39th birthday. So like,
That's the early birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
Oh my goodness. I forgot our birthdays are only a day apart. I forgot that. Get that.
Birthday's coming up too,
we
Trinity.
see your birthdays right now.
This is our birthday week. And I'm a believer that we celebrate birthday weeks. Like, our existence here is a whole friggin' celebration, and it needs to be. Every single one of us needs to celebrate way more than a day. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, most of your birthday.
Happy birthday to us.
Is it today then? Your birthday is today? Or...
Mine is Saturday.
Okay.
Yep.
Happy early birthday to both of you.
Yeah, very
You're
cool.
29?
29. I wish.
Why did I think it was 27? I don't know. Oh, my bad.
My birthday is the 29th. I wish I was 9 and I would do 29 all
Oh
over
my
again.
God. No, I was pregnant. I'm all set. I'll be right here.
I was pregnant at 29 too.
I mean, I don't regret it. I'm just saying. Sorry.
I personally wasn't pregnant. I didn't have the baby, but my now wife did. But
Okay.
I was
fair.
pregnant. too.
You were pregnant then. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. That's fair.
We were pregnant. She was pregnant.
Especially if you did right by the lady and you rubbed her feet and stuff, you get it. You were pregnant too.
Yeah.
Occasionally, especially on the first kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always different. Even as like, cause I, was doing this independently for most of the time. Even with Giselle, I was way more independent. Like, the second pregnancy, they really, that commercial about where you hand the second baby the mechanic, but the first one, like nobody can talk to or touch or be near. That stuff is true.
It is. My second kid, I could not, like, none of my tricks worked. So for my first kid, I was the baby whisperer. So if anything was happening, my wife couldn't calm her down for some reason, I could take that kid, little 6-month-old, 1-year-old, didn't matter. I could take her over to the bed and just like start singing to her. She was like sleeping out. My second kid, like, she was home from the hospital for a couple weeks or something, and she wouldn't stop crying. And I was like, give me her. We'll watch this.
Didn't work.
The more I sang, the more she screamed. And it was always like that. And it's still kind of like that today. If I'm like making noise, she's like, stop.
That is too funny. And you know what? There's always so many memes that go across social media that's like, your first child is like this angel child so that you are fooled to have a second one. I think the universe knew I was only going to have one kid and put all of them together into one big bomb that goes off all day, every day. So, yeah, it's listen, parenthood is a whole journey of itself.
It's the largest self-reflection. There's absolutely no avoiding self-development when you have two mirrors reflecting yourselves.
I mean,
It's insanity. Sometimes I'm like, I just didn't Giselle because she looks like me a little bit, the feminine thing.
Yeah.
And she'll come out with some stuff and it just stops me. Oh my God, I really need to fix myself.
You can avoid the self-reflection, Danielle, but that's how we cause trauma in our kids. So, right.
Oh my God, like, did I really get back to my?
Yeah, that's the generations we're trying to switch here.
Yeah, I would like to kind of gear the conversation a little bit, if that's cool with y'all. I know Brandon has something that we kind of wanted to talk about, and like, I actually went down to visit recently, and we started talking, and like he's got something cool that I'd love to dive into on the conversation. And so, Brandon, I'd love for you to kind of explain a little bit more your concept of what you're working on.
Yeah. I guess this will be my announcement to the world that someday I will write a book. And as long as, I guess, if I say it out loud on a publicly recorded Zoom,
Yeah.
then it's really
Ability at its finest.
manifestation, make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it's already written, actually, and actually it's spoken. I wrote most of the book like driving, like long road trips back and forth to the beach and stuff. Just talking into my phone, just rambling, and then I kind of sit down and edit it a little bit and add punctuation and fix stuff and headings and stuff. And I probably have
Oh, did he freeze for? I think that's where the best content is really, is like that moment to moment, because that's where I make a lot of my reels. And you taught me this was like, follow that inspiration. When you have that inspiration and you have that divine message that you want to share, like grab it. And we had talked about that, like creating like a note on my phone to do. There you go. He's back.
There he is. Hey, yeah, it looks like all three of you froze, and I just kept talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard you saying that you were recording it in your car and then you fix it, but we didn't get to hear what you were talking about.
Well, it's based on the concept that you guys all finish it for me. Ready? It takes money to make
Money.
That's what everyone says. Everyone knows that. People have been telling us that since we were little kids. You need money to invest. You need money to start a business or whatever, right? It takes money to make money. But in truth, it takes money to make everything. It takes money to make spaghetti, right? Even though spaghetti is like the cheapest food, there's like $1 at the grocery store. You still got to have an oven to put it on, a stove to put it on. You need the hot water. You need, the pan. You need some sauce. You need a damn dish soap or a dishwasher after. Spaghetti's really not $1. It's like $10, right? So, and that goes for anything. How to make anything you do in your life, even like the little trinkets that are on your shelf over your right shoulder, Trinity, like all that stuff, like almost, I'm going to guess that you got almost none of that for free. Maybe you picked up one from a gift or something, but even like yard sales, Target, whatever, you paid money for every little thing that's everywhere around us. We're paying money for the internet that we're all four of us are using right now, right? Like it takes money to make life, really, and that's like it takes money to make. Period. I love that. Instead of it takes money to make money, it takes money to make. And the subtitle is "Put your income on autopilot so you can afford to be the artist you were born to be."
I love that.
Yeah. So good.
Love that.
Because I'm telling you, like, it's expensive. Being an artist is expensive.
Most definitely.
No.
I spent about
Real.
like when I first had the idea, it was actually somebody said something about Taylor Swift and about how she started because her dad had some connections at the record company and offered them $600,000 to push the first single. It's like, so Graham, we've been in a band together. Yep. Could you imagine what $600,000 in radio promotion would do?
Yeah.
Any band?
Yeah.
Any artist ever?
Yeah.
If you throw over $500,000 of advertising on day one, what that would be like?
Crazy.
So I kind of started thinking about that, and Taylor Swift's not the only one. Billy Joel, the dude grew up in Long Island, going to private music school since he was a little kid, rich ass parents, were both doctors, but like it's Leonardo da Vinci. The guy was almost royalty, right? So Leonardo da Vinci had all the time in the world. He didn't have to worry about paying his bills. He didn't have to have a job in the morning at the gas station and come home and try to find the motivation to pick up the guitar and practice, right? Leonardo da Vinci woke up, had his coffee, and was like, I'm gonna draw a picture of a human today. Like, right? He just did it because he had the time, he had the freedom, and I think it takes freedom. And I have a whole chapter on it in my thing. Like, there are so many artists that started rich already. They didn't need to make money. They're not making the music to make money, right? They're not.
Well, that's why they also have that comment about the starving artist, because for the real folks, that's because we have to commit to being an artist and all the way, because that's when the good shit happens. We all know that. Mutual artists can at least attest. So, the majority of us will live simply to maintain being an artist, and I can attest to that. My mom was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I showed her my fancy perfume, and I asked for a Hobby Lobby gift card so I could finish my mural. This is going to cost me like $300 extra bucks in spray paint. It's a free gig. I just want to make it in my town, so like that's just who I am. Like, that's just built in stuff. So so it's kind of, I love that book, and I hope you can find a way to kind of show how the road can kind of pivot with that mindset, especially as an artist, because
so like the premise is basically,
like I was saying, some people obsess about working a lot, and the artist has to be creating. So it's like respecting those multiple types of humans, but there's not a path for us. It's like we're the first budget cut, so it takes a lot as an adult to maintain being an artist. Wild.
Yeah, my thing is freezing a little bit. I think it might be my connection, or
you and Trinity's been freezing a bit.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah, I absolutely love that concept, and like that it's just such like one of the things that, like, especially as a musician and as an artist, it's like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I love that you're kind of tackling this topic, Brandon, of like, how can you get to that point where you have that freedom? You've put in some of that work on the front end, or you've done some of the things that need to be done so that you can be that artist or that Da Vinci who's being funded to wake up in the morning and everything is paid and you just go and create.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it's always like, Graham, you and I were chatting when it was just you and I at the beginning of the call, like creating clarity in my business for what it's going to take for me to fully step into it comfortably. And I know I try to stay away from that word comfortably, but the reality is we all have, we have families and a lifestyle to maintain. So finances are 100% needed. So there has to be, I mean, I'm all for being uncomfortable because I know that's where we grow, but there are some things we got to stay a little bit comfortable in, because I'm not going to be able to be my creative if I'm uncomfortable with my finances. And so I need that, right?
Yep.
So just creating clarity, like I'm following my own practices of, okay, first we got to create clarity, and then what's it going to take to get there, right? And all coming from a serving aspect, because I think that's where the universe, higher power, whatever you believe in, really then provides back to us, is when we come from that serving aspect. So we're not sitting here saying like, we don't want to work because we want to sit on the couch and eat candy and watch TV all day. Like,
That's true.
Right, that's true. We have a little bit of balance, right? But what we're saying is that we need a way to freely create and give back and serve without the worry of finances, because when we're in our 9-to-5 corporate America jobs, that is something that you don't have to worry about, but you have no self-expression at all. Like, we're not even fulfilling that part of us. So there is like this balance. And I think that that's one of the hardest things about entrepreneurship, is getting to that step. So I'm excited for Brandon's book. Brandon, you got to hurry up and finish so we can buy it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I was gone for like the last 30 minutes. My Wi-Fi totally dropped out.
It's all good. Mine's
good. You're good. We were just talking about how we're excited for your book and whatnot. And like, I love what you're saying, Trinity, that like, yeah, it's hard to step into that creative sometimes when finances is a thing. Cause like, I was looking at some chakra stuff the other day or whatever, and like that root chakra, like some of the things that like are part of it are like the financial side of things, the basic needs of like living, you know what I mean? Roof, food. And when that's like out of whack, I mean, I know myself, I feel it in like my lower back and like, yeah, it becomes hard to do the rest of it because that's the baseline of everything. You know what I mean? It's the foundation of everything else that you're building on.
Yeah.
It's not somewhat like it doesn't have to be perfect or like fully there, but you need to have, like you said, some clarity on it of like what is happening, you know, and
Yeah. Yeah, Brandon, what I love, because this is a vibe that I get from you, is that you're writing this book because you have a passion for making this attainable for everyone, like showing them the roadmap to how can you create this passive income so that you can step into your creative space and living that life that you desire. Because we all know that if we desire it and we can dream it, like that is where we're going. That's where we're meant to be. So how do you create that financial stability, that income, everything we need to live so that you can step into creative and serve in your highest way?
Yeah, that's the premise of it is, you know, find some way as early as possible in life. And then it kind of, I wish I had a time machine so I could start this like right out of high school. But like find something. I wish I would have read this book when I was like 17 or 18. Like find something that makes money while you're sleeping. For me, and could do a whole seminar on this too, but I mean small potatoes, residential real estate investing, I do believe is the best way to go. Like find a duplex, live in half of it, rent the other side out just to get started, whatever. Find a way. You live in a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condo or whatever, rent out one of the other bedrooms, like dabble in it, get started, taste that first rent check. Anyway, I believe it should be, I think residential real estate is the best small business in America, but it could be anything. Come up with an awesome t-shirt idea. We all have them all the time. Go on Printful or Printify or something and test it out. And if you could sell 1,000 of these t-shirts every month, I mean, that would do a lot for paying your cell phone bill, keeping the gas in your car, right? Figure out something that'll make you money, like, and it's not working at a restaurant, because that's going to take your time and effort. And you know, this seeking the passive thing takes even more time and effort until you find something that clicks. But like you were saying, we only have so much energy like in a day, and we only have so much willpower in a day, and we can wake up with the idea that we're going to conquer the world, but somewhere around like 3-4 p.m. we all start like reevaluating that, being like, you know what, I said I was going to do those other things, I'll just add that to tomorrow's list, you know.
Well, our mind can only make so many decisions in a day, so it's like it's so far beyond our own control. This is like, that's why the owner of Facebook, he says he wears almost the same outfit every day, so he never has to think about what he's gonna wear that day, and creates mental space to make decisions. It's like a thing. So You're totally right. Sorry, I just wanted to jump on that because like,
have you heard of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
No.
I've heard of it. I'm not familiar with it though.
It's a book that's probably 30 years old now, but they turned it into a movie too. The movie's not as good, and I think Nick Nolte is like the coach in it. But it's a guy that like, he's like an Olympic gymnast, and he gets into a motorcycle accident, and then he like kind of like he's down in his life for a couple years, but then he meets this old guy in a parking lot, and like he like basically nurses his soul back to life for him, with him. And he talks about willpower. There's like a whole chapter on willpower, and like, you know, in the morning we're like, all right, no ice cream tonight. This is gonna be, you know, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna take Tuesdays off. I'm not gonna have any sweets today, right? And then like noontime, you're still thinking, man, no sweets today. I'm not gonna do that. Something happens in the late afternoon where you're like, well, maybe just one Oreo. Maybe I'll just have a second Oreo. It's only 2 Oreos, right? It's like willpower is really strong in the morning, and as we get tired, it goes down too.
Yeah, that's why I'm such a huge preacher of routine, because the more, just like you were saying, Danielle, the owner of Facebook, only like having one outfit, because the less that we spend time thinking about, the more energy that we can preserve for other things. So if you have a routine that you are dedicated following, you're not thinking about your alarm clock, you're not thinking about moving your body, you're not thinking about brushing your teeth, taking a shower, get like all those things, just make them routine, and then you stop fighting yourself in your head. Because if you're fighting yourself in your head on these decisions, and these are not a commitment that you just do, period, then by 8 o'clock, you have wasted so much of your energy. Like if you are a person that snoozes your alarm, for example, you snooze it and you snooze it. You have used so much energy snoozing that alarm. By the time you wake up, you are like already drained, because then you're beating yourself up. You're thinking, why did I do this again? And so the more that you can commit to just having these routines, I call it flow, and flow in everything. Like I have flow in my business. There's things I don't even think about anymore that I just do that I used to spend so much time thinking about.
Right.
It's wasting time, because wasting energy. We only have so much. And I think that those are just like little hacks that I use, my clients use, to be less exhausted at 4 o'clock.
I love that concept of flow. I talk about that a lot with clients too, but more on the like automation side of things. Like how can we automate more pieces of your business? And like you said, when you can do more of that, it allows them to now focus on more actual revenue generating activities. You know, if like certain aspects are automated, they can do other things. And
it's
that
like
goes
muscle memory as an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
or even like the nervous system. Because my sport is fear based, right? It's an extreme sport. There's this fear to it. There's heights. There's like not holding on. There's all these
Right.
elements. So I have to manage the muscle memory and the fears based system built into the brain. Because if your nervous system hasn't gone through that process, it could be something simple. That's what's crazy, is it could be as simple as putting ice in your coffee.
Right.
Like, I don't know, that's ridiculous. But if your body's never done it, or you've never done that before, it almost rejects it first. And there's this whole process to it. And then, of course, muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Oh, life. It's so perfectly designed, but yeah, it's such a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mentioned flow a little bit in a couple of parts of what I'm working on, but the Peaceful Warrior talks about flow too.
Yeah.
I think all of you guys would love the
Yeah.
Warrior.
Yeah.
We always end up with some cool like books or movie requests from doing this podcast. There's like a running list somewhere of like different books that people
describes flow as like this thing that we get into as a person, where like the time just starts to melt, where hours become minutes, like whatever that is for you. If it's like tinkering with, if you're a photographer and like, you know, you're tinkering with different lenses and trying stuff out on a bird, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, dinner's ready. You're like, what? I just came out here. Like, you know,
Yeah.
time just disappears. Whether that's, you're a painter working on this, whatever, wherever you get to that state of, I just want to keep going.
And that right there, okay, exactly what you just explained is the difference between like a workaholic and someone who is in their creative flow. Because I think all four of us here have that thing, and that is the true essence of what we're really getting at. Like we just want to get into our flow. We want to stay in there. We want to be able to be creative and create in our flow of what we're doing. And then it's always like making sure we have that source that supports us so that we can do that. Because sometimes it takes a lot of creation before we can actually make money with what we're creating, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing I talked about too, that I recognize in my father-in-law. Gary, he's a super great guy, my wife's father. We all have a mismatch. Most people have a mismatch between our passion and what actually makes money, right?
Okay.
I love playing guitar. I love writing songs. It's almost impossible to monetize. But I love it. I stay up until 2 a.m. just working on stuff, right? Your flow is traveling up and down the scary fabric ropes and stuff, right? Like that's how you get it. Also, I'm gonna guess it's not super easy to make $1,000 a day doing that, right? But Gary, my father-in-law, he was a commercial appraiser for like 40 years. He's a commercial, the big appraisals, apartment complexes, car dealerships, whatever. And he absolutely loved it. He retired at like 70 or 71 years old. And this guy was a little bit of a workaholic, but that was his thing. And he would get into his flow, and I would talk to him about it. He would say sometimes I would get to the office, it would be 9 a.m., and I'd be working on this appraisal and tweaking it and getting it. And all of a sudden, my assistant taps me that I missed lunch. And he's like, he doesn't like to fish. He doesn't like to golf. He's not an artist, right? So he is lucky in that he found something that gives him that passionate flow feeling, but is also very profitable at the same time.
Yeah.
Like people like me, my lucky passion, the thing I drew out of the passion hat, right? Man is like, oh, guitar player, good luck. So some people are really lucky. Like some doctors, like surgeons talk about getting into their 10, 12-hour surgeries, right? They go by like 10, 12 minutes and they made, $35,000 that day.
Right.
I think that's why us in like the service world, I have to brand myself. So you re-triggered a t-shirt. We have a t-shirt idea just in our podcast that we could pump out. So it's just like, it's a reminder that because the artist's experience to the person that finds their flow in their craft of what they do, whether being a plumber or, real estate or analyzing it or whatever. But for the artist, it's a little different, right? So a lot of my flow actually comes from teaching it too, not just disciplining it in myself. Like playing with the kids yesterday, the hour and a half was like a minute. And then my performance was like, I was actually kind of zenned out by then, fortunately, because then it took away some of the nerves. But yeah, so when we serve in our passion, we have to like disconnect, I think is where I'm learning a lot, is disconnecting from the passion and finding that residual somewhere. And it's usually in branding ourselves, which makes the most sense. But the artist journey is different. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's creating a new way where we celebrate the flow of our service, and that money should come with it. Because there's already a path for those other individuals. And that's where the world needs to shift a bit, is to create a path for the artists, the athletes, the musicians, the self-disciplined, book writers. Do you know how many authors there are in this like world? Like, let's be real. If more people could just sit down and reflect and create, like I've had little circus ideas in my mind forever, but it's not even like that's so normal. I hope to God that we all create a little bit more of a ripple for people like us to find a way where there's money and the art.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I think that's part of the goal of this podcast, is to like come together with similar like-minded people like you, Danielle, you, Trinity, Brandon, who kind of have this mindset where like we have these things and we're looking to make that ripple. And if we all come together with a similar mindset, it just makes for a much better community of people looking to do this same thing. And when you get people together all in that same direction, everything flourishes, and that manifestation and everything that we were just talking about a little bit earlier, it all happens, but I still think it still boils down, regardless if you're doing that, it's still like the world we live in, it still comes down to it takes money to make. Like, you know what I mean? You still need to have that, and I think that is just like so epic. So I hope our listeners can take something from that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Brandon, when your book comes out, where are we going to be able to find it?
Good question. You know, writing a book in 2024 is a lot different than it was in like 1964. Because who the hell is going to read it, right? So now it's going to force me to make a social media channel for it. I'm going to have to make a damn website and a funnel and a little informational video about it. I'm going to have to get some testimonials. And I'm going to have to I'm going to have to drip out my content from every chapter over the course of like 3 months. Right? So like, right?
A whole
That's the real map I was given.
So before you could just write the book and go to a publisher and be like, hey, you want to put this out? You guys can have 25%. You know, let's just put it out. And now that doesn't exist.
No.
So you got to kind of make a bunch of content and like make a name for yourself first, and then the book comes out, and then people will read it.
Exactly.
You know,
It's kind of a beautiful thing though, because like I know an artist that just came out with a documentary on Amazon. So he just needed the funds to create the documentary. Anybody can release on Amazon.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
I mean, he definitely built. I mean, I'm not minimizing this man's effort, but what I mean is it just reminded me how possible we all can be officially doing what we want. Whether it's lucrative is where the elbow grease you have to kind of do the work yourself now.
Exactly. And I think we'll definitely have to revisit that. And Brandon, I'd love for you to tell our listeners also, because I do know you have the like your background there, like where can people go to go to the beach or whatnot? Like where do they find you through that?
yeah, I'm actually after we get off this call, I'm going to post my second Valued Productions video.
Nice.
Graham came down and made a bunch of videos for our vacation rental business, which is called Red Carpet Furnished Homes. And we basically just went to the beach for a couple days, went to some restaurants, brought the cameras, and made a whole bunch of videos about why you should book directly with us instead of going to Airbnb or Vrbo or something. But yeah, it's Red Carpet. We're doing a little bit of that branding. That's not something I wanted to do either over the last couple of years. I kind of just fell in. I needed to make my own website because we had a lot of like repeat guests that want to come back and, hey, can we do it? You know, we'll save some money instead of using Airbnb. And it was hard to like collect payment. It was hard to like get some kind of agreement with people. So it just snowballs and it gets more and more legit with every guest.
Mm-hmm.
But Red Carpet Furnished Homes is a good place. It's on the Instagram and everything. As far as music goes, Cosmic Superheroes. I'm hoping, our music is we're a jam band, so depending on what we play, that can really turn some people off just by saying that.
Yeah, it's more than that. But is it redcarpetfurnishedhomes.com? Is that what? Okay, yeah, sweet.
Awesome.
And I got a damn TikTok for that and everything. I didn't want to go down that road, but we got all the social media channels.
I think on all of that, I literally would not have social media if it wasn't for my business, but it's how I spread my messages and inspiration and how powerful mindset is. So I'm like super grateful for it. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure, right?
For sure. Well, Brandon, I appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us and talk about some of these concepts. I hope our listeners take some inspiration from this and take some action on setting themselves up for that passion. And again, Brandon, thank you. Make sure you go follow the Unfiltered Path podcast, where all podcasts are located. Again, my name is Graham. I am the owner of Valued Productions. You can find me on social medias at Valued Productions, valuedproductions.com. That's VALUD. And yeah, I'm joined with my co-host this morning.
Hello, good morning, Trinity Baker, mindset coach. You can find me and everything that I do, The Trinity Baker, all social media platforms, and then my website, thetrinitybaker.com. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed the Unfiltered Path podcast. Make sure to go follow us, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I'm joined here with my co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. I also have handfuls of students and am a local location point for a homeschooling network, which I absolutely love. And I really try to normalize being a mother in my 30s and, still committed to my art form. And so if you love that kind of vibe, then follow me on media because my kids are always involved, women of all ages, and it's very inspiring. And yeah, follow me, Ariel Jade or Ariel Jade Art. And I am here with our wonderful guest today.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm Brandon, and I had a great time on this podcast. I really do appreciate you having me. I've never been a podcast guest before. And, first time for everything, and I'm really appreciative that you guys asked me to do this. So thank you, and happy birthday, both of you.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Hope they have something fun planned this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you again, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Unfiltered Path podcast. We will see you next week.
Thank you.